Hey, Daily Dosers. My name's Austin. I'm one of the high school pastors on the Vista campus. And the question I think that comes too often to my head when it comes to judgment is, how do I know how to judge somebody and how do I know whether to judge them or not? And then if I'm going to choose to judge them, man, I hope I do it with wisdom and I hope I do it wisely. And I think one of my favorite promises of scripture when it comes to wisdom is that when we pursue it, we will find it. In Proverbs chapter 8 starts out like this. It says, "Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Besides the gate leading to the city, at the entrance she cries aloud, to you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. You who are simple gain prudence. You who are foolish set your hearts on it." And Proverbs seems to make this distinction between the wise person and the fool all throughout Proverbs. But the promise to the fool or to the simple is that wisdom can be found. And I think for me, when it comes to judgment, I feel simple and foolish sometimes because I don't know what to say in it or I don't know when to say it. And so too often I kind of just run away from it. And if there's a moment that needs judgment, and especially biblical judgment, where you need to call somebody on something, or in a loving, in a gentle way, you need to bring correction to a brother or to a sister, there's too often the distinction of, oh man, this is difficult, and so maybe I just run away from it. And I love that scripture says, if we seek wisdom, we'll find it. Why? Because wisdom calls out. She raises her voice. She sits at the highest point where the paths meet, right? You think about like a major intersection. I always think about that when I'm driving in LA, when the freeways, when they all come together. Wisdom says, I will stand at where all of the roads meet together. That's where you will find me. Right? To all mankind, she cries out. And then you skip down to verse 10. It says, choose my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice gold, for wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. And I think that's the underlying question is, if wisdom is so obviously available, if I'm not finding wisdom, it's probably because I'm not treasuring wisdom. And when scripture says all scripture is God-breathed and it's useful for correcting and teaching, rebuking and training, and we kind of saw that at the beginning of this series on judgment, am I diving into scripture? Am I seeking after wisdom daily? Am I praying for wisdom and saying, God, may I desire you? Or maybe even the simple prayer, God, I want to want you. And I love that desire for wisdom to go, if you are so obviously available, when I lack wisdom, may I seek it, may I prioritize it, may I treasure it. Because I think more often than not, I would choose silver, gold, and rubies quicker than I would choose wisdom. And yet scripture makes it abundantly clear that to possess wisdom, to attain wisdom is better than silver. It's more choice than gold or fine rubies. And I think it's because of the bigger picture that wisdom has in mind. And when it's available so front and center, what would happen if I made that my treasure, I made that my priority? I think it would change the way that I judge the people around me. And I think too often judgment is that bad word to go, well, we can't judge. And I think within this series is saying, oh no, we can judge. We just have to do it wisely. Well, how do I do it wisely then? I think we seek wisdom, we pursue wisdom, we make it our priority, we treasure it and go, God, would I judge today wisely? May I make that my priority? May I treasure that over all else? Thanks, Daily Dosers.